Every year, millions fly into Vancouver International Airport. Almost none know the runway sits on Musqueam land, and a confidential agreement already directs a share of its lease revenues to the nation that never ceded it. In February 2026, 3 landmark deals went further, formally recognizing Musqueam Aboriginal title across the territory you call Vancouver. What that recognition actually changes is where this story begins. The boundary of Musqueam territory traces a line few recognize, but many cross each day. It begins at Harvey Creek in Howe Sound, sweeps east along the ridges that divide the watersheds feeding English Bay and Burrard Inlet, then turns south between the Coquitlam and Brunette rivers to meet the Fraser. From there, it follows the river's southern bank, running downstream to the saltwater, enclosing the delta where the river meets the sea. Inside this crescent, the city unfolds across ground long known by other names. The 1976 Musqueam Declaration set this geography into words and marked it onto a map, naming 11 sites that remain touchstones of Musqueam presence. The Musqueam Reserve, south of Marine Drive, anchors the community. Fraser Arms, a property acquired in 1993, sits beside the ancient Marpole Village lands. Milltown Marina, opened in 2014, supports both commercial and traditional fishing. The Musqueam Golf and Learning Academy and the University Golf Club blend sport with teaching, their fairways crossing land once used for gathering and ceremony. Shalimar Place and the Marine Drive lands connect residential life to the river's edge. Jericho Lands, Heather Street, 320 East Broadway, and Willingdon Lands each hold layers of meaning, sites of gathering, commerce, and future development, now shaped by Musqueam-led planning. These names, spoken by elders and recorded on the place names map, turn the city's familiar grid into a living record of stewardship and belonging. For Musqueam, each site is more than a parcel or address. It is a story, a responsibility, and a claim that predates any modern boundary. Recognition of Musqueam title is not a single declaration. It is a legal process grounded in the Canadian Constitution and Supreme Court precedent. The 1997 Delgamuukw decision defined Aboriginal title as a unique, constitutionally protected right to the land itself, not just to activities on it. For Musqueam, this means the power to decide how land and resources are used, subject only to limits set by the Crown's duty to consult and accommodate. The Rights Recognition Agreement signed in February 2026 translates this principle into a phased, enforceable plan. Authority shifts in 4 stages, each triggered by concrete benchmarks, including joint environmental assessments, council resolutions, and the passage of a federal implementation act. The first phase formalizes title in federal law and sets up a rights recognition working group. The second phase moves key land use and resource decisions to a joint committee, aiming for Musqueam leadership in at least 3/4 of cases within 5 years. The third phase transfers jurisdiction over health, education, and natural resource licensing, contingent on a community referendum and a readiness assessment by a joint implementation secretariat. Each phase is subject to a 5-year joint review, with disputes escalated to the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, or, if needed, binding arbitration under federal law. The process follows the path set by the 2022 Order in Council, which established a legislative schedule for Indigenous self-government. This gradual approach allows for careful monitoring, measurable outcomes, and the flexibility to adjust if challenges arise. It turns recognition into real authority, rooted in law, activated by milestones, and reviewed at every step. At 2:08 in the afternoon in 2023, a distress call crackled across the shared marine radio. A commercial fishing boat caught in a sudden squall near the mouth of the Fraser was taken on water fast. Within minutes, the Musqueam and Coast Guard working group's new protocol went into effect. The executive committee, co-chaired by Chief Wayne Sparrow and Rear Admiral Karen McLeod, received the alert and triggered a consensus decision to deploy both joint response vessels, Sparrow McLeod and Pacific Guardian, with Musqueam Rangers and Coast Guard crew working side by side. This was the first real test of the new governance model. The working group's executive committee, made up of 2 co-chairs, 1 Musqueam policy analyst, and 2 Coast Guard operations officers, had drilled for moments like this. Their annual 12 million Canadian dollars budget covered not just vessels and equipment, but also the integrated marine monitoring platform that fed live data to the command center. Every decision required consensus. No action could move forward without agreement from both Musqueam and federal representatives. If there was a deadlock, the rules called for immediate escalation to a joint arbitration panel. On the water, the rescue unfolded against a strict key performance indicator. Assets had to be mobilized within 30 minutes of the initial call. Crew members checked off each step on digital dashboards. Vessel departure at 2:17 p.m., on-scene arrival at 2:36 p.m., first evacuee aboard by 2:40 p.m. The response vessels, jointly owned and maintained, carried both Coast Guard and Musqueam insignia. Musqueam Rangers used traditional knowledge to read the current and guide the approach, while Coast Guard crew handled the technical rescue. The operation ended with all crew safe, the vessel stabilized, and no fuel spill reported. Annual reports now track these outcomes in public key performance indicator dashboards, response times, incident logs, and community engagement figures. The 2023 Fraser Rescue proved that a consensus-based equal partnership can deliver under pressure, moving co-management from policy to lived reality. The working group's performance set a new standard for marine emergency response on Musqueam waters, with every action recorded as evidence of real, shared authority. The Musqueam Fisheries Co-Management Board brings together 6 elected Musqueam fishers, 4 federal fisheries officials, and 2 independent scientists. Every major decision, whether it is setting quotas or approving habitat projects, requires a 2/3 majority that includes at least 1 Musqueam vote. This structure ensures that both scientific models and traditional ecological knowledge shape the rules on the water. Each year, quotas for Fraser River salmon are calculated by blending a Department of Fisheries and Ocean stock assessments with data from Musqueam's Salmon Watch program. Elders and fishers record patterns in spawning grounds and river conditions, then compare these findings with federal science. The board applies a 5% buffer to the total allowable catch, holding back a portion of the quota as a conservation reserve. That buffer can only be released if independent review confirms the salmon population is well above safe thresholds. In 2026, this meant that of 12,000 tons of Pacific salmon, 600 tons stayed in the river, with the remaining 11,400 tons allocated to commercial and cultural harvests. The board oversees an $8 million habitat restoration fund spread over a decade. Projects range from replanting riparian zones at Fraser Arms to removing barriers for salmon migration near the reserve. Each project must meet a no net loss standard. Any habitat altered is offset by equivalent restoration elsewhere. Funding proposals are prepared by Musqueam's environmental team, then reviewed and voted on by the board. Federal and Musqueam contributions combined for each project, and annual audits track ecological results. To modernize the fleet, $15 million is dedicated to new vessels and selective fishing gear. Musqueam fishers submit business plans, reviewed by engineers from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and by community experts. Grants support low-impact boats and gear designed to reduce bycatch, with up to $250,000 available per vessel. In return, a small share of profits is directed back into a community trust for fishery education and health. The result is a system where Musqueam knowledge and federal science work side by side, and where every catch is measured against the promise of leaving the river stronger for the next generation. Musqueam Capital Corporation now generates $45 million in annual revenue drawn from a portfolio that spans marinas, golf courses, residential towers, and commercial real estate. This steady cash flow underpins new investments in community programs, environmental restoration, and infrastructure, giving Musqueam leaders a financial base that rivals many small municipalities. The MST Development Corporation, a joint venture with Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh, holds $1 billion in urban land, including the Jericho, Heather, and Willingdon sites. Each project brings zoning leverage and the ability to set terms on affordable housing, green design, and cultural preservation. Beyond property, the confidential lease deal with Vancouver International Airport directs a share of ground lease revenue, estimated at over $2 million a year, into a Musqueam-controlled development fund. With these streams combined, Musqueam's economic influence extends from the Fraser River Delta to the heart of Vancouver's urban core, raising the stakes in every negotiation over land, water, and community priorities. A sharp divide surfaced as the new agreements moved from paper to practice. A city commission survey captured the mood. 68% of local fishers and residents voiced strong opposition to Musqueam's expanded authority over fisheries and marine management. Their concerns ranged from access to fishing grounds to worries about new regulations. By August 2025, a coalition of landowners and real estate groups filed a notice of intent to sue in the British Columbia Supreme Court, arguing that the gradual implementation of Musqueam title threatened their property rights. While legal teams prepared for court, a different story unfolded on the ground. At the Jericho lands, Musqueam youth and environmental staff monitored a salmon habitat restoration pilot. Early numbers showed a 12% increase in red counts, evidence that stewardship, even under pressure, could yield real ecological gains. The future of the agreements remained uncertain, but the river was already showing signs of renewal. Today, city skylines rise on land where legal authority is being renegotiated, not erased. As Musqueam and Canada share power in law and on the water, every policy, project, and boundary in Vancouver now carries new meaning and new responsibility. The future of this city is being rewritten in real time.